Actress, comedian, author, one of the best women around. It is, of course, Helen Lederer. Morning.
Oh, good morning to you. I hope we've had our coffee. I've had my first sip already.
I am fully caffeinated, Helen, up to my eyeballs.
Lovely.
I'm hoping you are too. Any breakfast on the horizon? Crumpets, toast, full English?
Because I had a late one last night and somebody gave me chocolate, which I ate in the taxi. Yes, I got a taxi on the way home. So now I must pause and just have caffeine. Well, I'm talking to you, Salma. Yes.
Well, don't spare us the details, Helen. What was the chocolate?
Oh, the chocolate was a superior brand that actually comes from Switzerland. And when my friend goes to Switzerland, he has to bring the chocolate back now.
Of course he does.
It's a really posh... I could talk a little bit longer about the chocolate, but I feel I might lose you.
Listen, never when it comes to food, Helen. I'm right there with you, to be honest. And what time did you get to bed?
Oh, well, probably about 11 because Newsnight was on, but and that's the way I know the time. But I'd started early. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
So it was time to lay my hat, and I knew I was coming on to speak to you. So chocolate, lay my hat. Caffeine. We're doing with the light stories, aren't we, today?
We are. And at least, listen, firstly, Helen, let me say on behalf of London, thank you for your dedication and getting up this early after you've been on the chocolate gallivanting around the city late last night.
I know, I did.
You wild
with
thing.
With the vodka. I know, I am quite wild. I mean, this is the point. I mean, I just am. I'm keeping at it.
Good. As rightly so. Yeah. You absolutely should. Well, yes, we're looking at the lighter, weirder side of the news. And I always love to put animal stories in because it pleases me.
You do.
So we're starting with a white.
You got loads.
We're starting with a white squirrel. Tell us more, Helen, because I didn't even know white squirrels were a thing.
No. Well, now I've looked at the little clip that apparently a lot of people have enjoyed on Facebook, and some clever person has put some jaunty music on. So every time we see a white squirrel, which apparently is a 1 in 100,000 genetic occurrence, I don't know what that means. I don't know how it came forth. Was it an immaculate conception by a red and a grey? I don't know what happened. But here is a rare white squirrel that has tickled people just walking past what looks like a rather dull shop with jaunty music. And everyone's fallen in love with it.
Yes, and this is also on the BBC News website. You can take a look at the video. It's very rare, isn't it? I think it's 1 in...
Oh, it's a library, Salma. The squirrel might have just gone in for a book. It's coming out of a library, so it's giving it a bit more gravitas.
Yeah. Always. It's quite a studious squirrel.
Yeah, but do you like the squirrel? I mean, does it make it nicer?
Well, do you know what? It's just weird, isn't it? This is what happens when you put animal stories in. You see weird things because animals are weird and they do weird things.
Natural.
So this is strange. And of course, this squirrel apparently is 1 in 100,000.
Yeah.
And that's quite,
obviously
that's very rare. I think there's probably environmentalists and, I think
not us then. It's not our say so.
No, we know about...
It's an expert.
We know about the chocolate, Helen, but not the squirrels, you know. No, the thing that makes me nervous about this video watching on the BBC News website is someone's filming it from the other side of the road, and I do so hate to see wild creatures in those environments because I'm worried that they're going to get run over.
Oh, gosh,
and I just think, poor little squirrel, go, run away, get up a tree.
We don't know what has happened since passing the library. We don't know the route, do we? We don't know what's occurred. So, yeah, you're right to worry.
But which means we can make it up. So, Helen, I think that squirrel took its books home, got some chocolate and a cup of tea and curled up in a tree for hours.
Yeah, seems quite happy, and it's rare, and we've spotted it, and we put music with it. Nice.
Yeah. So what more do we want from our day or our news cycle at that, Helen? I tell you what more we want. We want a story about a whale, quite frankly.
Oh, my
this is a video, again, on the BBC News website. Talk us through this, Helen.
Well, it's breaching whale. Now, I thought the word was... a beaching whale, but it's breaching. And then I looked up breaching, and apparently breach is where a whale propels itself out of the water. And I don't know what would make it propel. So I don't know, does that happen to humans? It's like stretching. You know,
I can barely propel myself out of bed, Helen.
No, I know. So this whale has done a natural thing called a breach. Just so happened to be adjacent or under or passing a boat. And then in the video, which your listeners will now go and look at, there's another boat, and a lovely kind man looks at it, and I thought, oh, please don't drive by on your boat. but luckily the next shot is him towing the other boat.
Yes.
And it's not what you would expect. I think that's the point. Is that where you're going, Salma?
Well, yes, because the whale has capsized the boat and 2 people have gone overboard.
That's it.
And
worrying.
Apparently, I'm pretty obsessed with whales, Helen. I love whales. I watched a whole 4-part documentary about the secret lives of whales on the National Geographic.
Oh, how interesting.
And it was really fascinating.
Yeah.
Apparently, they breach, so they come out of the water like that and slap down because they're either communicating with other whales. Oh. And obviously, the whale didn't know the boat was there. How was it to know?
Oh, and then, so it didn't do it on purpose.
No.
And then hopefully the people who were surprised by the whale's presence in such force, and then obviously toppled out, hopefully, I'm sure they were saved.
Yes, well, this kind man that you mentioned who was filming it, he was on a nearby boat and he pulled the individuals to safety. So no humans were harmed in the breaching of this whale.
Breaching. But now we know what breaching is. It's like a natural propellant of going upwards.
Now we've learned something. We've learned something new. We've learned about the rarity of white squirrels and breaching whales.
Upwards whales pointing.
This is very educational this morning. I didn't intend it to be so, but here we are learning new things every day.
Always. Yeah.
Right. In the stranger side of the news, if that wasn't strange enough, people in Berlin are going on a swing. But
my Lord.
This is, before we get into any debauchery, let's just clarify what type of swing this is, Helen.
Oh, you took me somewhere. I was so there. I know there is that program on, isn't there, where people are shown. There's a woman with red hair who teaches people how to swing. But anyway, we'll leave that. It's summer holidays. The kids are about. Quite. Yes, of course. So now, this is interesting because again, looking at the video. Now, since I did a reality show, not really boasting but referencing.
Please boast.
I had to dive off a 3-meter board, right, which is quite high. If like me, you get vertigo in slingbacks, is my little joke. But it's made me like nervous. Like now, when I go up an escalator and like lift with glass, it can be a worry. So people are paying, aren't they? And at first, when you first see the woman in Germany going over Alexanderplatz in Berlin, you go, oh my God, it's a swing, like really 120 meters up, which is more than 3 meters. And then I just thought, please God, let there be a rope, connecting you, because what if you
harness,
sneeze?
Yeah,
I mean, just like, but it's for a thrill, isn't it?
It is indeed. It's Europe's highest swing. Again, video on the BBC News page. And just to look at it, I'm not afraid of heights, but just to look at it, it does make my stomach turn though, Helen.
Does it? No, that's quite interesting. And then, people seek experiences, all sorts. So maybe if you want your stomach to turn, you could just visually, just look at it and get a reaction. And that can happen. That's really weird about the body and the mind and the brain, eye and brain coordinating, because you just imagine, you're so vulnerable. It's just you on a swing.
Yeah.
I did go on a wheel in Budapest quite recently with a glass of fizz. I don't know why we did that. We didn't need to buy one, but we did. And even that made me feel on my law. Do you know what I mean? So it does give you that feeling, doesn't it?
And
Have you done that?
I imagine that's why people do it. Do you know what? I went on a big swing in Bali once that kind of went out over paddy fields and was quite high up. But it wasn't, it wasn't 120 meters up. And
no, but it's more normal than
a little
bit.
It's something, listen, you know what the influencers on Instagram are like, always snapping a picture. But there is something about seeing Berlin below you and all of the grey concrete and then being up there that makes me feel slightly nauseous, Helen.
Yeah, it would.
I take it you're not getting on this swing then?
No, I just, that's something I would pay to avoid doing. It's really just not, there's no attraction, there's no pull, nothing, no.
Okay, we'll keep you on solid ground.
Yeah.
Who is also on the ground is Snoop Dogg. Apparently, he's in the news today because he's carrying the Olympic torch in its final stage.
I know. Now, the thing about the Olympic torch, I was looking at that. So somebody somewhere has to light it somewhere.
Yeah.
And then apparently for 2 months, the original one then gets passed to another one. I don't know what happens to the torch at night. I was just worrying about how this thing happened. And then, so for 2 months, some, people have been anointed with the job. Yeah. So important people in the old days, in London, they had to wear white tracksuits, didn't they, to mark them out, a special.
Yeah.
And then this was given to Snoop Dogg. I Googled Snoop Dogg, and in 2023, he gave up smoke. So maybe that's a reward.
I read an article recently where someone had just interviewed him the other day, and I think he was puffing away. So I don't think he's back on. Did you Google Snoop Dogg just to read about Snoop Dogg? But I presume you knew.
My job seriously.
I presume you knew who Snoop Dogg was.
You are cheeky. Well, I knew that he was a modern, and he's a rapper, isn't he?
He is indeed. Yes, you're absolutely correct.
And I think they've had other rappers. Maybe there's a rapper thing because it's just cool to have rappers carrying the torch.
Maybe I think it's like significant people,
Yes.
And, obviously, so I've gone on the Olympics 2024 torch relay map.
Oh, did you?
I did. There's
and what's going on there?
So the lighting ceremony happens in Greece. Maybe it happens in Greece all the time. Because
this is the thing. To keep the
of the Olympics,
a metaphor,
right?
Yeah, to keep the flame alight. This is what we say, don't we? When you have to keep the flame alight, in relationships and stuff. So maybe a light. Yeah, I don't know. But so people are keeping the flame. This particular flame for Paris has come from Greece. Then is that right?
Yes. So the Olympic, the lighting ceremony, just according to the relay, happened on April the 15th, 2024.
Wow.
So I'm now frantically searching if it always starts. Yeah, okay, yes. The ritual always starts in the ancient Greek city of Olympia because, of course, the Greeks came up with the Olympics.
The first one.
That makes sense. So it always starts. So obviously it had a longer journey to get to Tokyo. Now less of a journey to get to Paris, but there was a relay in Greece. There was a handover ceremony. It went on a boat across the Med. It went to Marseille, and then it's gone through various regions in France.
It's special. That is special. People are working hard. And
people are working
tradition.
hard, Helen. Yes,
to keep this light, so we all know, and it's leading us towards when it opens.
And Snoop Dogg is carrying it because LA will host the city. It will host the games for 2028.
How do they already know that? No, that's important connection. I'm glad you said that. That's
circle. Well, because it's only 4 years away, isn't it? And obviously you'd have to know. I think they probably know who's doing the next two.
You'd have to plan.
Yeah, you've got to build the stadiums, don't you?
Yeah, stadiums more important.
Accommodation,
than shops,
not shops for the Olympians. I think they probably need. They don't need to sprint around, a supermarket, but rather, quite okay. Yeah. So that's why Snoop Dogg that adds some light to the story.
Thank you for that.
And I'm here for you, Helen. Listen, in this other story we've got, which is just strange, bizarre, and this really is the weird side of the news. This is about a Sainsbury's ad that has gone wrong, and I have driven past this advert numerous times. I have, yes.
I mean, well, I was looking at that, so I don't know how long so the slogan on that billboard is "Say yes to the sweet, smoky sizzle," right?
Yes, Sainsbury's ad, yeah.
Yes. So obviously very bright people who've been to university, understandably, in advertising, come up with the notion.
But not that bright, though, are they, Helen?
On we're coming to this, exactly. So then somebody puffs out smoke to help people understand the slogan, just as double whammy. So we've said a slogan to do with smoky. We now
is it so it looks smoke. Like the ribs are sizzling. Got it.
So you go, that's a giant one that is smoking in a big way. So where do they put it? Near Grenfell Tower. So then we have a plumber on their way to unblock a sink, which is, on their daily work. And then they come across the billboard, and then that's where I get a bit lost. They then see firemen there.
Well, someone basically saw the smoke coming out of the billboard, didn't know it was a marketing gimmick, obviously, because why would you? Called the fire service to say something's on fire, come quick. They called 999, as you should when you see smoke emanating from something. And then the Hammersmith Fire Department zoomed down And it turns out it's just a marketing gimmick done by Sainsbury's to advertise their summer barbecue range. I mean, it's wild, isn't it? It's one of those moments where you think in hindsight, who sat round the room and thought that would be a good idea?
How could they miss that? And then what's interesting, but the trick of all this is to react briskly, like always apologise or all that, So they said they'll use the feedback for future something or others. So that's, there we are. I mean, it is interesting that with these people in high power position to get something wrong. It is curious. It's a curious thing, isn't it?
It's very curious. Yeah. But talking of advertising, British Airways seems to have got it very right with their new safety video. Tell us about it.
I love this. I would love to be on a great big posh plane going anywhere at the moment, and because this is a posh one. And then I did love when you have to go, shall I take my headphones out and listen to this? I've downloaded these films and safety. I know about safety belts. And then it goes, it starts, may one have one's attention, please. Not already, that is just going to get your attention. You go, oh my God, humour, a joke. This is just a joy. And then they impose the Bridgerton genre in the safety announcement. But the nice bit, and I bet you, if one may say, caught your eye possibly, is that we have a Mr. Darcy in a life jacket, so they've adopted the genre and the traditional, humour, but what people are attracted to, images,
yes, they are indeed. So this is in the Metro and you can see the whole video. They've got it there. It's British Airways' new safety video. It's set in kind of Regency period, various different periods actually. It kind of flashes between the two. There's a little hint of Downton. There's a hint of Pride and Prejudice. There's a hint of Bridgerton.
So
it is so clever. And it is. And I watched all 5 minutes and 22 seconds of it. I have not watched a safety video or any. I do tune. I'm the person, Helen, that has their earphones in and pays no attention to the person who's doing the safety demonstration.
And then you feel like you're offending the hardworking, but you don't care because you crack on with your headphones.
Well, exactly. I just think, when's the drinks trolley coming round so I can have a cup of tea and a chocolate bar? Yeah. And, I've done this many times. I think yes, absolutely. Helen, listen, I'm going to let you go because I feel like you need a nap. But before you go, tell people where they can find you and where they can get your book because it's so good.
Thank you, darling. So, of course, I only did all that so I could say this. No, that's not true. I do
I thought we were having a wonderful relationship there, Helen. Don't break my heart.
I've travelled with so many mammals and squirrels. So this Saturday, I'm going to be at the Prima Donna Festival, which is in Suffolk, talking about Not That I'm Bitter, because of course I'm not, interviewed by Sinead William, who used to be is a very important person, but in charge of comedy commissioning. And I don't think she gave me a job at the time. So I'm going to bring that up in a jokey way, not that I'm bitter, during the interview, because not everyone can give me a job. But yeah, so I'm talking about Not That I'm Bitter, and I know you like it, and I hope people wouldn't just get it on the internet. Please do. It's got photos.
I do. It's on my shelf and it's brilliant. And Helen, you are brilliant. Thank you so much for talking us through the weirdest side of the news this morning.
Enjoy the politics that are coming up.
Yes, quite. I shall try. Helen Lederer there.